Hey guys, we've got a really cool video for you today. We found something out in the world that we didn't think still existed, but does still exist, related to Knight Rider. It's not a prop or anything like that. It's actually a location. You're going to think it's really, really cool. Just hang with me. But before that, I wanted to ask you a question. So, when you think of KITT's greatest feature, his greatest function, trick, whatever you want to call it, what do you think of? Now, I can hear you screaming into your phone sitting on the toilet right now. Joe, KITT's #1 favorite feature easily is rapid cycle. Right? Rapid cycle. You know, where KITT shakes a lot. It's a great way to get whiplash, I suppose. Nah, I'm just kidding. Obviously, KITT's greatest feature, turbo boost, right? Pressing that little button, car flies through the air. It's pretty amazing. Now, to be nerdy for a second, let's look at the official definition for turbo boost. The Oxford English Dictionary defines it as the increase in speed or power produced by turbocharging a car's engine, or specifically when the turbocharger becomes activated. That might be the official definition of turbo boost, but for us, turbo boost means this. And perhaps KITT's greatest turbo boost was one that was so spectacular that they actually used it 5 times in the series. They filmed it for this initial episode and then reused it 4 more times throughout the rest of the series. Yes, I'm talking about the infamous jump over the ravine, first seen in the season 1 episode, The Topaz Connection. And like I said, it was used 4 more times, albeit with some slightly different angles. Knight Rider stuntman, 2nd unit director, and all-around nice guy, Jack Gill, is the one that performed this magnificent jump. So, in this video today, we're going to take a look at each of the episodes this jump was featured in. We're going to let you hear from Jack himself about a special, really cool story, a little goof that happened during this jump. Some of you guys might already know about this. We're also going to take a look at all the little goofs in this jump. There's all kinds of interesting things happening in these few seconds we see of the car driving through the air, and we're going to point all those out to you. And thanks to our special Knight Rider Historians correspondent, Greg Hackett, and some investigative work by yours truly, we have uncovered this exact location today, and we are going to take you there, boots on the ground, and show you what the ravine jump location looks like today.
buddy. Piece of cake.
Alrighty, so before we dig in and try and find this filming location, let's look at all of the goofs we found in this turbo boost. There's a bunch of them, probably more than you'd expect for such a short scene. So we're going to start here with the approach to the ramp. So you can see here, this is the area that Jack Gill had bulldozed, which he mentioned in his interview. And goof number one is the ramp. So if you look in the far distance right here, you can see the jump ramp. It's pretty well disguised on the sides with brush as they normally did, but there's the jump ramp. So that's goof number one. Goof number two, during the turbo boost, we see one of KITT's turn signal covers from the front bumper, the passenger side one, fly off, gloriously fly off, flip through the air, and land in the ravine below. So there's that. Moving forward, we see the crash camera box mounted on the side. This is the same footage whenever we see the side of KITT through the air, it's being taken by that crash camera box. We can also see the night license plate flying off the car here from the impact. See it right there? So that flew down into the ravine as well. Then we switch to this angle and we can see this cable hanging out of the wheel well. This is probably maybe a power cable running from the battery of the car to the crash cam. Just a guess, I don't know. But we see this cable hanging out there. And then, of course, the most famous goof of this whole jump, Michael Knight's leather jacket dangling out of the driver's seat of the car, which is kind of cool. Let's see what else we have. On the landing, this is kind of blurry because of how hard the landing was, but the whole fender bows out right here, gets crumpled out. And then finally, if you look off the last couple frames of this shot, you can actually see one of the other cameras off to the side here that's filming the jump. So again, the whole jump was just a few seconds, but look at all the goofs there were just in that jump. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so like I said, the ravine jump was initially filmed for the episode The Topaz Connection in Season 1, and that would have been filmed in January of 1983. So in that episode, Michael and KITT are chasing the bad guy, Hagen, who has kidnapped Lauren Royce, and she's in the back of this SUV, and Michael and KITT are chasing her, and we see KITT heading down the side of a hill that has been conveniently bulldozed out. A nice path has been cleared of down this hill, and then we see KITT jump over the ravine and continue on with the chase. So Knight Rider stuntman Jack Gill, like I said, was behind the wheel for this flight, and we had an opportunity to talk with him, was that last year, about some of his stunts on the show, and we actually talked specifically about this ravine jump. And here's what he had to say about it, and a really cool story behind it.
But here it comes.
Yeah, see, that's the road we graded in with a big bulldozer.
And is that a jacket hanging out of the window?
It is the Knight Rider, the black jacket. Only because I usually did not put the jacket on. I wear a jump harness that goes around my rib cage, and I have straps over the top, and I connect myself to the ceiling and bungee cord. And there's really no way to get the jacket because I've got bungee cords coming out of my shoulders going up to the roll bar. And then I press myself into a safety belt, and that's what keeps me from breaking my back.
Yeah.
And the costumer came in and wanted me to put the jacket on. And I said, the only way you can do it is to cut the jacket and put it around me. And so he made a couple of slices and just kind of draped it over my shoulders. But since the window is open, you know, when I made the jump, the jacket flew out the window and hung up and came outside the car. And back then, you didn't have CGI to paint out that part of it. So that's the Michael Knight jacket coming out of the car.
All right, so I got it into my brain fairly recently to try and figure out where this jump took place. And I did have a few clues. So way back in 2002, whenever I wrote my first book, Knight Rider Legacy, I had interviewed Jack Gill. And in that interview, we talked about the ravine jump. And here's what he had to say about it at that time. The jump across the ravine was one we did at Lang Ranch Parkway. At the time of filming, it wasn't developed, but now it has houses, a golf course, and everything else. It's in Thousand Oaks, California. I picked a spot and then had a guy with a bulldozer cut the road in. It was about 85 or 90 feet across the ravine just to get over to the far side. Okay, so that's the clues we had to go by. Lang Ranch Parkway, Thousand Oaks, California, and it had been completely developed in the intervening years between 1983 and 2002. So I never really pursued it any further because I thought, well, it's really going to be hard to find this location in the middle of nowhere if everything has been kind of bulldozed over, houses built, landscapes changed, things like that. But I thought, well, it's probably worth at least looking for. So what I decided to do was Google Lang Ranch Parkway, Thousand Oaks, California. And what I found was this stretch of highway right here, or the parkway, Lang Ranch Parkway, okay? And there's a neighborhood park, and we can see behind the parkway, there's all these houses. So here's the development that he was certainly talking about, that Jack was talking about. All right, so if we go to satellite view here, we'll be able to see. So really, we've just kind of got this stretch of road here. Don't see anything that really resembles a ravine just off the, just by looking at it really quickly on here. But I thought, well, it's still worth digging into more. So Lang Ranch Parkway just kind of goes right here. It loops around these houses, and then that's it. So it's a really small area. So I thought surely we can find some clues. So what I decided to do is I put in Google, and I went to the Street View, because I thought, well, in the turbo boost, we can see some hills in the background. So I thought, well, maybe if those hills weren't changed, we could at least start there. And at least give us some point to at least say, maybe this is the right location, at least, even if we can't pinpoint exactly where it was. So I went to this Lang Ranch neighborhood park, and I just dropped my little guy right there in the middle of Lang Ranch Park. All right, and so this is what we see. And we see this mountain back here. Well, not really a mountain, just a hill. It's not a mountain. All right, and yeah, there's a better view of it. All right, so we see this hill. It kind of creeps up and then creeps back down. So if we look at the turbo boost, we get a couple views here. So let's start with the actual jump. So we get this, there's a crash camera mounted on the side of KITT, and we see this beautiful shot of KITT midair in the ravine. And look in the background, besides all of the crew vehicles just kind of hanging out there, take a look at this hill. See how this hill kind of meanders down, and then there's a little bit of an uptick and a little bit more, and then it keeps going down. So the first thing I did was I wanted to look here and see if this matches. And take a look at this right here. See how this kind of meanders down, then up, then down. So I thought, well, that's probably a pretty good sign in the middle of this park. So we looked at that, and then we looked at the landing right here. And you could see the other side of this hill where you have kind of this sharp drop-off, right? There's the big tree here, but there's a sharp drop-off here. So we go over here, and sure enough, there's this sharp drop-off over here. So this was enough to convince me, yeah, we're definitely in the right location. That hill is still there today. The question is, what about this ravine? What about this tree? Was the ravine filled in? Was the tree cut down? where is it, right? And if we look in the background here, let's see if we have a better shot of the land. Yeah, so you can see here there's either a road or a walking path right here. See that in the background, right by this hill. So that was kind of another clue. It almost looks too narrow to be a road. I think it was a walking path. All right. So we've kind of determined, yeah, this is where it took place. And at first I thought, well, based on the camera angles and the screenshots, I thought, well, the ravine was here, they filled it in, and this is where the jump took place. But oh no, it gets better. So the next thing I did after finding the general location is I wanted to Google like historical images of the Lang Ranch, because this used to be a ranch, you know, decades and decades ago. So I Googled Lang Ranch, and one of the first pictures I found was this. Now, this is on Wikipedia, and we can see here, this is very interesting, isn't it? We've got a walking trail. We've got a giant tree that sure looks a lot like the tree in the screenshot. And we've got the hills in the background. And this was taken in December of 2010, right? So this is decades after all of this development that happened in this area. So I thought, well, this is an interesting development. So then I started to figure out, well, where is this walkway in our, you know, if we look at our map here, where is this walkway? And then I saw this Chumash, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, this Indian museum here. So I started Googling that, and I found this article about this Indian museum, and look at this picture. There's a lady hiking in a ravine with some old growth trees in the background, still water going down the ravine. I thought, well, that's interesting, right? And I saw she was walking on a path down in the ravine here. So I'm like, okay, the ravine is still out there. It's still here. So now we needed to find it. So it looked like, based on that website, the ravine was near where this Indian museum is. And we see all of these trees here, right? And these are hills. There's walking paths in here. So I thought the ravine has to be hidden in all of these trees. So the next thing I did is I ended up finding on Google Street View, you can actually virtually hike this same path. So remember this screenshot, or this picture I found on Wikipedia. Here it is today, and here's that tree today. So you can see in 2010, the tree looked a lot fuller than whenever this was taken, which was October of 2023. So we're just like months ago this was taken. So I'm going through here and I'm driving, or virtually walking. And I thought, boy, so there's all the houses that are developed in the background. What I needed to know is there a ravine right by this tree? Because when we go back to this screenshot, we can see here's the ravine, there's the tree. So is the ravine right here? And if it is, what side of the ravine is the tree on? Are we looking at this from the right angle, or are we on the opposite? Are we on the landing side over here? And remember, whenever I showed you this screenshot here, we saw this path in the background, this walking path. Is it possible that is this path right here? And then these hills back here are the hills that we see back here. So at this point, there's not much more I can do without actually being there, because you can't virtually walk through all this high grass and get near this tree. Okay, so let me bring you out here to show you kind of where we're at. All right, so just to give you kind of an idea, so that Indian museum is down here, and we see all these old growth trees. Where that walking trail is with that tree is actually on the other side of all of these housing development, all this housing development, it's actually up here, right here. So this is that walking trail, the Autumn Ridge Trail in Thousand Oaks, California. And this line of trees, actually you can see it right here. You see here, this is the ravine right here. It's not very pronounced because it's a very shallow ravine without much water going through it. But this is the ravine right here. So the big question is, and the tree we're looking at, I think, is maybe this tree right here or this tree. So let's go back to our area here. Yeah, this tree right here. So now the question is, well, is this the tree that we see in the background of this? Excuse my squeaky chair. Is this the same tree? Now, at this point, I couldn't go much further because, again, I'm not there. But fortunately, our friend Greg Hackett, who you've seen on this channel before, he's done a few special features on this channel. He's currently on a filming location tour in Southern California. So I sent a message to him and I said, hey, Greg, how far are you from Thousand Oaks, California? And he called me and said, well, I'm here. He called me like a day or two later or whatever and said, oh, I'm here. We got on FaceTime and he walked over to the tree. We did some comparison shots and we were able to confirm that tree is the same one from the Topaz Connection. Isn't that ridiculous? Absolutely ridiculous. But it gets even better than that. I asked Greg to take some video, boots on the ground, right at that tree to show you what it looks like now. So now let's show you that footage.
So I'm at the Autumn Ridge track in Thousand Oaks, California. And the reason I'm here is we're looking at a very significant night rider location. Does this tree ring a bell? Maybe the ravine. So what we have here is we have the filming location of the famous ravine jump. And if you look at those hills over there in the background, they line up. This area has changed significantly since the time of Knight Rider, with significant housing developments in the background. Housing over here. But back in 1983, this was pretty much a clear, barren area, perfect for doing a turbo boost. So this tree is, unfortunately it can't tell us a story, but it looks like it's the same one that was here when KITT jumped right through this direction. So it's quite incredible to think that 40 odd years later, we're at the filming location. Now, I'm not going to dig down in the ravine here, but who knows, maybe there's some pieces left. Maybe there's a license plate that fell off, maybe there's a turn signal cover that flew off, maybe they're all down there still, who knows. But if you want to have a look yourself, Autumn Ridge track, walking track that just goes along the top here, it's not very far from the road. Come have a look yourself. It's a wonderful location to walk around and enjoy the outdoor environment. Another beautiful day here in Southern California.
All right, so what did you guys think? Isn't that fantastic? After 40 years, 41 years as of the recording of this video, the tree's still there, the ravine's still there. What was built up was behind that area. And thankfully, because this looks to be an outdoor recreational trail, chances are this area is going to stay that way. Can't guarantee the tree won't get cut down one day. But if you guys want to go out there for a nice hike, if you're in Southern California, want a nice hike, and wanted to double it as a filming location, there you go, right? Just head out on the Autumn Ridge Trail path and you'll be set. So that's all for today. I wanted to thank, first of all, Greg Hackett for taking some time out, boots on the ground, going out there. Wanted to thank Jack Gill for giving us the clue we needed to start our hunt way back, excuse me, in 2002. I want to also throw a shout out to Jacob Peterson, who did the interview with Jack Gill that you saw, the clip I showed you here. If you want to see the full interview, it's also on our channel as well. So, as always, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments down below if you did. And if there's any other filming locations that you want us to do deep dives on, maybe obscure ones, famous ones like this, let us know. We'll give it a shot. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Hello friends, it's me, KITT. When I'm not out fighting crime, I like to follow my friends at knightriderhistorians.com. Check it out.